5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome along. It's Monday night. It's 6 o'clock. If you've got your cabbages, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's the review show. Welcome along. I did feel today like I should be wearing a prison outfit, or maybe sort of, a black mask with a swag bag over my shoulder. And was that not the ultimate smash and grab? Let's dive into it. Two brilliant guests in as normal. Who couldn't make it, so we've got Brad and Steve in instead. Good evening, guys. Brad, you've posted this, I know. That has got to be almost the ultimate smash and grab, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. I mean, I heard that West Midlands Police was out in force, a few helicopters, a few police cars, and that was just for a robbery going on down the road. But no, it was in the sense of the way it happened. And I love doing these shows for two reasons. A, I just like doing the shows, and B, once the dust settles and you really get a chance to really think about the game, I'd probably say it was a smash and grab in the sense we got a stoppage time equaliser. They always feel very smash and grabby in that sense, but It was probably a very justified point given the balance of the outcome on the basis of how both teams went about the game.
God, are you doing this, Steve? You were there. Hello. Guys, let's enjoy Steve, not in the biblical sense, but welcome along. He's not well. He's here. He's drugged up to the eyeballs, and he has promised to give us the name of his dealer later. But
John Rupkin, I'll tell you now.
Oh, he'd be selling you bloody washing up powder or something. Look, you were there. Did you see the goal?
No. So I walked down to the I stood next to Jack at the final whistle for the second half, and we were both sort of getting really annoyed towards the end of the game. And I just went, look, mate, I'm leaving. We're not going to score. We could play for 200 minutes and we won't score a goal. And he was like, all right then. So I walked down into the concourse. Just as I turned the corner, I looked up to the TV and the goal went in. And at that point, I was like, I'm just going to carry on walking. You know, they might win if I'm not there. So, and then, especially because I'm cursed.
Could you do us a favour and every game you go to leave at about the 89th minute?
Well, a lot of people have asked me not to go to games because I'm at the Swansea game. I'm there tomorrow, and then I'm at the Swansea game on Saturday, and then I'm at the Hull game and the Millwall game when they come around as well. And people are saying, look, away games, just don't go, just stay at home. And I'm like, well, maybe.
Well, actually, you've helped. Unfortunately, I have put my predictions in for tomorrow night. Otherwise, I'd go for a draw. But I think I'll be going for a draw for the next 3 or 4 games after that. But welcome along, everybody. Like I said, if you're in the chat and James is in the chat, hi James, how you doing? Join in the chat, like, subscribe, share, do all the normal shit. It really does help the channel. If you're watching on catch up, do the same. And if you are listening on your favourite podcast platform, thank you very much for lending me your ears. Right. Just want to talk generally before we get into the meat of the game. Interesting to find out. We will obviously come on to the ratings later. But Brad, what did you think of the overall performance? Because I wasn't overly impressed.
See, again, at the time, I wasn't too impressed, but obviously, as you know, Chris, I have the pleasure of doing
Careful.
of doing the preview shows and really getting an in-depth idea on what it's like from opposition fans. Now, I know the West Brom fan was a bit short for press for time, but we basically got exactly what we was told. They were going to be hard to beat in the middle of the park. It was going to be a hard game, and it wasn't actually too dissimilar to the Coventry game. That they came to frustrate. They managed to do something that Coventry couldn't, which was score and have something to hold on to. And to be honest with you, Chris, it wasn't actually maybe as bad as we first think, which is ironic because I would still say over the collective 90-minute performance, it was our worst this season. But it wasn't as bad as really we probably make out. It was probably just the frustration of how long it took us to actually get anything out of the game. That was the real downward.
The reason that I asked that, Steve, is at the end of the post match, we always have we have Alan who goes to the matches and gives us his performance and man of the match, which is what we look at the end. But I actually gave it the lowest rating. I gave it a 5 for the performance, and I kind of got sort of berated for doing that. But I'm thinking, am I being a bit unfair? Because we wouldn't have got that last season. We wouldn't be. If you'd said that to us at the start of the season, like, well, you're going to have a new manager come in, and you know what? He'll only be here for one game before we kick off, and then 7 games into the season, you'll actually be sat in 5th place. We'd have bitten your hand off. So I'm thinking, am I being unfair? But the performance, as Brad said, it just, by our own standards that Marty has set, didn't quite, come up to it.
Yeah, I don't think you're being unreasonable to say it was the worst performance. So overall this season, I think we can point out certain 45-minute performances in certain games that were worse. But as an overall performance for night, it wasn't great. And you would have thought by now, sort of 7 or so, he's had 8 games, 1 cup game and 7 league games with the squad so far, that there'd be some improvement. But overall, it's a frustrating one because I would say if we'd have beat Coventry and drew on Friday night, we'd all be like, perfect, 4 points from those 2 games. That's actually really good. But because it's 2 points from those 2 games, I feel like it's actually 4 points dropped because we should have beaten Coventry. We had the opportunity to do it. And whilst we were okay in the first 20 minutes on Friday, West Brom really didn't offer a lot other than when we made our own mistakes. There's that, and then the last minute sort of they almost scored with a parry out and they put the ball over the bar. So, but overall it was a frustrating, poor performance for 90 minutes. And we need to see a change tomorrow in the attitude of the players to actually go out there and set a benchmarker because, we're coming up to second international break already. And I can't see one full game where we've gone, bloody hell, we blew them out the water at all. And we saw fruits of that under Enzo Maresca when we were in the Championship last time. We saw some fruit, when we played, when Ruud van Nistelrooy came in the first couple of games, there might have been tiny little sort of seedlings there, but there were still shows that we were looking at picking up points. And yes, we got a point, and we got a point on Saturday as well, the previous week. But we want 3 points. We want to say to this league, look, nobody's running away with it. This is our benchmark. And I just hope that's tomorrow night because it's getting a little bit frustrating seeing so many poor sort of performances.
I get what you're saying, and I get what Steve's saying, Brad. And he was hoping to see some improvement. But, again, playing devil's advocate, looking at where we were, if you like, and that's all we've got to compare it against, last season. We can't really go further back than that, although we do, obviously. We wouldn't have won that game under Ruud. Oh, sorry, we wouldn't have won it. We wouldn't have got the point under Ruud. We'd have collapsed after, conceding in 10 minutes. So are we expecting too much too soon? Because it is an improvement when you can think where we've come from.
Yeah, definitely, Chris. And sometimes when you get damaged so badly, in terms of last season, how mentally damaging that is, you've got to look at the big. You've got to not look at the big picture. You've got to look at the even bigger picture. And the even bigger picture is absolutely every minor detail becomes a parody in this, because you have to look at the mentality of the players. You have to look at whether you like it or not, whether you think they should be or shouldn't be. We had a few unprofessional professionals in there. What both played. One's going to get roasted. We know which one. They've only just integrated into the squad. There's a new philosophy. There's a new set of players coming through the door last minute. They're now adjusting to something that the current squad only had a couple of weeks to get used to, barring it. And you want to talk about big changes of kind of putting the past behind us, Chris. Birmingham, West Brom, Coventry, all we have played 2 at home, 1 away, however you want to look at it. 3 games, Chris, 1 goal. That would have been 2-0 Birmingham, 3-0 Coventry, 4-1 West Brom. We'd have got battered by them with Rude. I mean, I will say this early doors. Genius by Cifuentes to put Daka in a West Brom shirt for that chance in the 89th minute. That was fantastic. That was outside the box thinking. But realistically, Chris, you can't go to a car wreck, which is what we are, or what we were. You can't go to a car wreck 2 hours before a garage closes and say, can you completely replace everything, sort it, get the parts ordered and in, and fix it so it looks brand new and sparkly and runs smooth and everything. No, that's going to take us weeks, mate. And that's what Leicester are. We have to take every small positive, as silly as it might sound, and look at that as an improvement. And the perfect example is 3 games, 1 goal shipped. Yes, we've only scored 3, but again, it's improvement in them slight tweaking areas.
It's isn't it? And I was going to say, Steve, give us your thoughts on that.
So the difference, you're comparing it to last season with Rude, but last season was in the Premier League with teams that have spent hundreds of £1 million. We're in the Championship this season, and we have a Premier League level to an extent. There are players that are Premier League level in the squad. Abdul Fatawu is one. Harry Winks is a Premier League player. There are Premier League quality players in the squad that should be doing better in this league. And my big gripe with Marty, and I've said this on the Sunday show with Locks and Kate and everybody, that look, I get it. He's only had 21 days since the transfer window shut, or 27, 28 days now with it, so a month or so, and they're away for a couple of weeks, some of them for international break or whatever. So yes, integrating these players, fine, it's going to take a while, but if you look at the starting 11 on Friday, 10 of those players played last season in the Premier League, and
so 10 of that 11 had the mental strain of the haunting of last season.
Yeah, I get that, but also, I think the reason the fans are getting frustrated by performances is because these are good players. They're not coming up from League One and fighting at the bottom of the table. They're players that come down from the Premier League that have international experience that should be doing better in a team and a tactic that realistically is different to last season. It's a bit more Enzo-like compared to Cooper and Ruud van Nistelrooy's performances last year. And less said is about those two, the better. But they are still better than most of the players in this league. You can take out pretty much any of those 11 players on Friday night and put them into pretty much every other team in this league, and they would perform.
True.
Do you not think, Steve? I mean, I'm looking at the table now, and I know it's only 7 games in, but I think it's a harder division this time than it was last time we were in it. I don't think you're going to get 3 teams that are, or 2 teams that are going to be that far ahead like we were in last time we were here.
Yeah, to an extent, I agree that it is a stronger league. There are teams that are spending money for sure, and that there are better players in this league than there were 2 years ago, 100%. But again, I go back to the point where you can pick up quite a lot of our players and plonk them into everyone else's squads, and they'd start, pretty easily. Vestergaard would start for Middlesbrough, I would say, in that defence.
No,
I know you say that, but look, he's the highest percentage passer in our team. He's played pretty well this season. He's probably one of our best players so far this season. And as much as we like criticizing him because of last year and however many years previously that he's still one of our better defenders.
Right, let me throw this one at you then, Brad. And I get exactly, what you
might be high. It might be. It's what it is. It's the Lemsip. It's come back.
Yeah, it's got to, folks. Don't listen to what Steve's saying. It's Lemsip's fault.
No. I'm just wondering, are we sort of? I can see, maybe some fans starting to turn on Marty already. I'm not saying you are. Yeah. No, I'm not saying you are, but on social media, and I know that can be toxic and what have you. But Brad, when Marty took over, let's say, and I hate saying this, but let's say we still had Jeremy. Let's say we still had Jamie Vardy playing for us. Let's say we still had Ujoa playing for us. We probably wouldn't be looking at these sort of performances because we'd have probably got an extra 4 points this season, which, would put us up second, almost, up Middlesbrough's arses. But when he came in, he had to sort the defence out and to some degree the midfield. The attack, it doesn't matter how, if you score 4 goals, but your defence is shipping 5 and 6, you're not going to win games. So has he gone about it the right way in saying, right, I'm sorting this defence out. We've only, in 5 games, we've only conceded 6 goals. We've got more clean sheets already than Ruud had in his 30-odd games last season, which was 2. So are things sort of that bad? We come off games, don't we, and go, that was a shit performance. But overall... I honestly don't think they've been as bad as we're making out. I think there's still a little bit of, once we kind of got through the first 3 or 4 games, there was a little bit, and I kind of had it myself. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't, where people kind of going, oh, hold on a minute, get that win against Birmingham, that's going to be the drive, and now we're going to go back to 2 years when we were playing teams off the park. Realistically, we had spells under Enzo where we were like, oh no, we won, but that wasn't great. I remember Rotherham away, that was a struggle, and games like that. And then you look at the league, Chris, like you said, you can't build the roof and then design the house underneath it. You have to have the foundations and the idea of what you're doing. And realistically, where we were struggling last season, because Jamie Vardy, set a record, 200 goals and did all that, So realistically, when he was firing, we weren't struggling in that end of the pitch. It was keeping the ball in the middle and keeping it out of the net at the back. And I know, again, we've got him on Tuesday, I can say it. Danny Ward played his part in that for about 5 or 6 disastrous games. But majority of it, Chris, we had games where we scored a couple of goals and then more under Cooper, but we'd concede 4, like you said. You have to start stemming the problem at the bottom. And you can't do that if you go out all-out attack and we got Fatawu scoring goals and that. Because if Faze and Vestergaard and Luke Thomas and Ricardo and that are just as leaky as they were the year before, it's not going to matter. It's not. No.
Just really quick. So I know just really quickly. The reason why I will back up my point here is that I saw Marty on Friday night. He was losing his mind on that touchline whenever we were too slow. And he came out afterwards and said how, we can't accept points in this league. So I feel like I'm just...
I like that.
Yeah, because Marty was... Every time we did something slowly, he was going crazy on that touchline. So maybe players not listening to it. Sorry, carry on.
No. I'm just glad that, that, as I say, I got pilloried for only giving it a 5 on Friday night, and I'm glad you guys agree with me. Maybe I should skip the watch long and just come to this. But it is, we haven't got, as a striker, and I know we've got, attacking midfielders, 3 very good ones there, but Ayo isn't a 20-goal-a-season striker. Daka isn't a 2-goal-a-season striker. And Carranza we've yet to see, in fairness. We'll come on to him obviously later, but, we don't know yet. He's not, not been with us long enough. So that is a problem. And I think if we had got, not necessarily a Vardy, but just a 10, 12 goal a season striker up there, we might be seeing a slightly different story with these draws.
Yeah, and also...
that was the Steve, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I
didn't hear you say name when you were talking about it.
If we win tomorrow night and Saturday, everything's peachy and we're all good.
Yes.
If we get 2 draws or a loss and a draw on Tuesday, Saturday, then it could be like 9 games. That's actually quite a poor return from where we are. So, but I'm hoping for 2 wins. That's for sure.
It is a poor return, but I still go. It's not a bad return to what. Well, maybe just me, but from what I was thinking we would be getting this season.
But the reason I say it's a poor return is that if we get a 9 points deduction, we're bottom of the league, and we've got a lot of games to. I know we've got a lot of games to play, but it's a lot of points to pick up as well. So, every time I talk, there's a caveat in my head going the points deduction. I want as many points as possible because the points deduction is coming.
Totally agree. Now, Tom's not in, but I would argue with him. He says that we're not going to get one. We definitely are. But I agree with you. But I'm in my mind, the caveat that's going off in my mind is where could we have been? Where could we have been?
Like,
this isn't brilliant.
Are you telling me that you're a positive Leicester fan? I've never heard it. I've never seen it. What's going on?
At times, not all the time. That would be pushing it a little bit too much. Brad. Looking at that, though, that was the starting lineup. Obviously, the crosses, I'm not me taking shots at them. They were the subs, and you can see who's got yellow cards, and we'll come on to that more in a second. Same lineup. I mean, I had Kate doing her pick, and we both went for Ayew to be dropped back down, and Carranza up top, and funny enough, James, in the place of Samari, but. Your thoughts when you heard? I suppose we did all right against Coventry. We didn't come away with a loss. Not changing things when it's not broken.
Yeah. There was not a necessity given the performance and the effort we put in against Coventry to change things up. There was always going to be. It's going to go on all season. There was the argument going off on Twitter. Monger or Mavididi. Some were saying get Monger in. Others were saying you cannot. After his reaction, and I kind of liked his reaction. I felt sorry for him, but I liked his reaction to that chance that he missed on the sub bench, taking it in because it meant he had every drive to prove that he can do it, and I like to see it. But it was a perfectly good lineup. I was until West Brom scored. I was fairly happy with that lineup, and I felt it was confident enough to see that team in its entirety, obviously with subs, go out and get something from West Brom, which they did. Do feel sorry for Decovery, though. Yes, I said I feel sorry for Decovery because he's had 3 goals scored in Leicester career. Unfortunately, 2 of them have ended up being given to an opposition player. So
I don't care. If you have a shot, it can go in off somebody's fucking arse. At least he's having the shot. Steve, Mavididi, I said he starts. I know a lot of people said, as Brad said, Monger's got Monger should start, he should be benched and what have you. I don't think that would have been a good management decision. And I've got to say, Mavididi, to a point, had probably one of his better games, if you could say that, for this game.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I said that if you drop him on for Friday night, he won't come back confidence-wise, because he knows that he did what he did against Coventry where he missed it. He looked terrible after the full-time whistle. So, you give him the confidence, say, look, you're still in the plans, you're still starting, so go out there and prove me wrong. And I think he did play quite well on Friday. He was an unfortunate casualty in the sense that when we took James off, we lost that sort of tenacity in midfield. And he was linking up quite well with James at times. And he was just.
I thought he was. In fact, I wrote that down. That's how I agree with you. Yeah.
I actually have a solution for that, but yeah.
Okay. So my main problem with that side of the pitch is that Luke Thomas isn't an overlapping defender. So whereas when we had Ndidi in that position at times and KDH, they'd moved past Mavididi and given an avenue for the ball to be played further into the box. Whereas Luke Thomas, when he goes forward, he stops about 10 yards from him and then he just goes, pass me the ball. And then at that point, Steffi's gone, okay, well, we'll pass it back to him. Then he passes it back to Samare, and we're back into centre of the park again. It's a bit frustrating. So, but there were times on Friday where at one point, he took out like 3 people he took the ball past, and then got a foul in the end. And I was thinking, that's what we need. That's the sort of guy we want. So yeah, unfortunate the second half that we took James off, but I think overall it was definitely one of his better performances, and I can see him starting tomorrow night because of it.
Yeah, Brad, did you want to make your point that you were going to say?
Yeah, because what Steve said is correct. You know, I feel like Mavididi knows in the back of his mind that if the system's about to change, he's going to be one that loses his place, because obviously Fatahu's going to interchange into that second striker role while Daka warms up and fails to hit the target. But what you could do there is in the greatest respect to kind of transition Carranza in here, I would take Ayew off, James off, if that's what you're going to do. I know Ramsey's on the bench. Well, he'll be available for Swansea because this is his last suspension. Why don't you move Mavididi in there? Why don't you move Mavididi on for James? And, you know, you put Ayew comes off, James comes off, and then you go Fatahu and Carranza as that. And then you just move Mavididi into the central and give him a free roam instead of taking him off because you want to get another position on. You already have that instant transition.
Who are you putting on into Mavididi's place?
No, you just go more central. You just move Fatahu into the second striker alongside Carranza, because you're going to take Fatahu off and put Daka on at some point anyway. That's what he naturally does.
So the issue there is that I think it leaves Thomas too exposed in the defence. Once that ball gets turned over, and
then you put Christensen on, because Christensen's got the pace and the know-how to track that area. That'd be my other sub to cover that.
It's intriguing. So basically, what you're saying is a 4-2-2-2.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Let's bring Desmond Tutu on.
Well, I don't think we've had a manager in a long time that has played 2 up top, you know, because actually I think we'd do all right if we had 2 strikers up top and 2 wingers. So more of a traditional sort of 4-4-2 in that sense. But I don't think Marty likes playing that system until he's chasing a game, and then he can put 2 strikers on up front. And okay, it's not even 2 strikers, it's 1 and 0.2, because he's putting Daka on. So I think the issue there is that you probably, and I know, Brad, we're going to get onto Samara at some point, but I think you drop James down to where Samara is, drop Ayew back, because another issue for Mavididi and Abdul is that when they get the ball, there's nobody in that box as a central point. You know, because Ayew is playing in the 10 position still. He's not pushing into the box. And again, on Friday, there were times where we got the ball and there was no striker in front of them. And you were like, well, what's going on here? So I think you drop James into Samare, you keep Mavididi and Abdul on the wing positions, and you put a striker up front that's going to be the focal point, like Carranza. Or I actually think Daka does fit well in this position. And if he had some confidence, we'd be all right. But he just doesn't. So
for me, Daka does what Daka does, which is basically when the defence is knackered, he comes on and he's got the speed to close players down, and
he's like a racing hound, isn't he? He just runs and runs and runs, and when the bunny disappears, he's like, keep running.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Daka isn't actually his full last name either.
Go on.
Yeah, it's Dakinboye.
Yeah.
See what you did there, Brad. See what you did there.
I'm here on Tuesday night. See you later.
Yes, I think you should after that one. Look, let me give you my solution to this then. And he came on.
I hope it's not
that.
Hey, I tell you something, play with 9 players, they'll have to work bloody hard, and we'll see who's really good. No, my solution is, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but Christensen, if he started instead of Thomas, and I like Thomas, and I'm not a hater of Christensen. In fact, I do believe I'm going to say this, because when I look at Christensen last season, he was one of the few players that actually got over the halfway line. The problem is when he got down to the byline to cross it, which is his job, there was no fucker there in the box for him to pass it to. So had to come back. So taking, Steve, on what you said, do we drop Thomas and put Christensen in, because Christensen will overlap with Mavididi?
I think overall that will be the plan going, because bear in mind Christensen, that's his first game back since the
Yeah,
you
I'm
know.
just thinking, is that his plan?
Yeah, I think come the
in.
international break there'll be a switch over in that defence, and we'll probably see Christensen come in.
I think you also see that. Sorry, just to kind of this is backing up Steve's point here. You see that, and I know. Sorry, Chris. I know he's your love child, is Chowdhury, but you see the benefit Fatawu gets having Ricardo doing that role. You know, Luke Thomas and Chowdhury are a bit more of the defensive wing backs, whereas Ricardo and Christensen with that push on. I think Fatawu benefits more that side because he has that support, knowing that if he has to recycle or it messes up, Ricardo's going to...
You give me a different love child every fucking week. I tell you what, if I was paying maintenance, I'd be living in a bloody tent on the Paul Park.
I'm writing a book called The Affairs of Christian Forest.
I would 100% always have Ricardo at right back. I'm sorry, that is 100%. Chowdhury's done a good job, and he's there as cover. It's not his main position. Look, I've said this at every single show, but I think if you've got Christensen on the left, he is like you said, Steve. He gives you that bit of extra. He really does. I think that will help Mavididi out, and I think when you look also at some of the stats coming up, that will also happen. You'll back you up. Brad, first of all, I want to talk to you about Chowdhury, funnily enough. Got a yellow card when he wasn't even on the fucking bench, on the fucking pitch. He was sat on the bench, got a yellow card. Is that enthusiasm, or is that just plain stupid being as thick as pig shit?
No, I think it's enthusiasm, because if it was thick as pig shit and he'd said something outrageous, the referee would have sent him off. I just think he's got over-passionate, defending the situation. And I in the weirdest sense, Chris, I'm all for it. As long as you're not being a wally walking on the pitch and berating your manager. Oh, sorry, that was not Forest owner. Sorry, I got confused for a second. As long as you're not doing something visibly obvious, because obviously the cameras pick it up. We'd have seen it if it was. It was just a nonchalant overreaction, calm down, yellow card. I'm all for it. I love the passion. I love to see it.
But when he's racked up his, is it 5th or 6th yellow card, and that leads to a missing the game?
Chris, get past Christmas. Always thinking, get them white. There, see? Sorry.
Other yellow card, Steve.
Yep.
When I look at that, I wasn't sure whether to call that Leicester City substitutes or the British Olympic diving team, because got Monga and Kwanzaa there, 2 yellow cards allegedly for diving.
So the Kwanzaa one, I think the ref, because we'd won the ball and Kwanzaa passed the ball out and then sort of fell over. So I don't know why he gave the free kick to West Brom there. We had the ball, so no idea with that one. But the Monga one was a clear dive. Like I looked at it as soon as it happened. People around me shouting penalty, and I'm like, that's a dive. What are you talking about? That's outrageous. And I know he's 16, but he's been booked twice this season for diving already.
Yes.
Like, you're going to start getting that reputation of that. Oh, you just go down really easily. I'd rather he take on his man and win the ball, or get intercepted and gets cleared away. Fine, but don't dive. It's a mockery, really, that you've been booked. The 2 players in this team got booked at the weekend for diving.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And the scary thing is, Steve, that he will get a reputation. Do you remember the West Brom game in the great? Was it West Brom? No, or was it Villa, where Jamie Vardy got sent off? Was it West Ham? Even?
That was West Ham in the
West Ham, yeah. And he went down, and I honestly, and I still stand by this, I think he got that yellow card because, let's be honest with you, now he's left. He did like to a bit of a dive, didn't he, Steve?
I think a dive is a bit of a, I'd say he's very good at finding contact or creating contact.
Yes.
Whereas, you will probably say some of them were a bit suspicious. Maybe they were a little diving. If VAR was involved back then, they probably wouldn't have been given. But he's that sort of sneaky one where he will invite the contact and go down. Whereas on Friday, Monga just I didn't even see a foot going. He just jumped over.
It was almost like Monga knew the contact was going to come. and had committed to the dive, and the contact didn't come.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he wasn't on a different time limit. He was in a different century with that one, wasn't he?
I think that was the inexperience, and also I know he only played in the under-18s, but that was this kid's going to kick me, and I know he's not going to see it coming. Whereas the West Brom guy went in for the tackle, saw Monger going forward, and went, I'm going to get you booked here.
Yeah.
That's where he needs to learn that these players have got a bit more about them, and he can't get away with it at kid level.
Exactly. Right, Brad, let's have a look at the match summary. 33% of the match was played in the Coventry end.
That was a long way away. You said it was played in the Coventry end. That was a long way away. No wonder we didn't.
No wonder I went to the wrong game on Friday.
If you were sat in West Brom Stadium going, this is boring.
I was in the Rico being like, where is everyone? What's going on?
One little slip, and you're very, very horrible to me. Let me just say that. But having said that, I was thinking of that's where Daka's ball ended up. Certainly the West Brom players that missed towards the end. But 33%. Well, let me put it this way: 33% of the game was played in the opposition half. Is that better for you guys? 43, obviously, in the middle. Brad, Leicester, no significant strengths in that game. Is that a fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair, because it was kind of. Yeah, I think I just think anything that could have potentially been a strength, we couldn't quite tick over into that next level. You know, I tell you what, Chris, I've been holding it back. I will say it because you've been wondering when we'd say it. You know that RU chance in the first half? Vardy would have scored it. There, I'll say it for you. I'll let you have that moment, Chris, because you've been waiting for someone to say it.
Anyway, that's it. That's you. You know, you've had your one warning. I'm letting you back in. That's your yellow card. Next time,
one show ban. All right then. No bad.
Are you talking about the chance in the first minute or so?
Minutes, whatever.
I'll tell you what. Any striker had taken the time to look up and see that James was completely unmarked in the box, would have passed it to James, who would have scored.
Yeah, but you forget this is Jordan Ayew, and sometimes his brain doesn't connect the dots as quickly. You know.
So I'm just saying, you know, it's whether Vardy would have got it or not, we would have got it if he'd passed the ball. But yeah, it's saying there's no strengths there. Steve, it says for weaknesses we were aggressive and gave away a lot of free kicks around the box. The second point is the one that I want to come back to, because that's coming up game after game after game.
Yeah, it seems to be a sort of late lunges as well. There was a moment where Samare took a player down just outside the 18-yard box, and I was thinking it was going to be pushed into the box. We are giving away a lot of opportunities around the area for them to have dead ball sort of into the box, and that is a worry, because ideally you want to stay on your feet, and I guess that comes from when you've got the ball and you're higher up the pitch. When you get caught out and they then press on you quickly, you're going to make tackles. So. Yeah, it's something that I would like Marty to work on a bit better and say to the lads, look, you know, you don't need to take every free kick. We're in a good position defensively. Don't foul someone for the sake of fouling someone. You know, be a bit better.
Well, we'll come on to the goal in a minute, because that was one of the points with the goal. Brad played with width, had a large quantity of possession. Maybe they were all on drugs. That was why we didn't get the win. But we had a large quantity of possession in their opponent's half, dominated possession, and favoured short passing.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably what you're going to expect with the players we've got at the club, and the fact that we have three wide players. If you know Monger. And it's going to be possession, and that's what Marty wants us to do. He wants us to dictate the play, and not in a negative way. It's not passing it for the sake of passing it. we have seen a few times, and we've talked about a few goals that we've actually scored this season where we've suddenly kind of lured them in, got them exactly where we wanted to, and it's almost like we've gone now, and then we want ding, 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 and it's led to a goal. So it's probably natural. I think we'll see that a lot this season, and our strengths will come from having a lot of the ball and getting it out wide because we try and stretch the opposition.
Yes, yeah. This was interesting because I did feel, Steve, and look, Leicester yellow in that particular. I think we had the majority of possession. Our expected goals was 0.9 compared to West Brom's 2.02. There's a huge gap. We had as you can see, we had the majority of the play there and the momentum. I want to talk about that goal. It was too easy for them, wasn't it?
It was. So it didn't help with Vestergaard stepping up, but I guess their attacking midfielder did some sort of decent skill to get past Vestergaard at that point. But even then, he shouldn't be up on the halfway line trying to put an interception in there. And then the main issue with their goal is that you had two players with Samare and Thomas sort of there as covering defenders in a sense. I don't understand why Wout Faes decided to sort of jump in and lunge in a little bit. It's a little bit silly on his part, because if he just stood him up a bit longer, I think we would have got the ball back and it would have been intercepted. I guess he did pull his foot out because he didn't want to take him down and get a red card. So that's understandable. But it is frustrating to see such a simple goal go past you, because it was basically just one touch onto the striker and then away you went. And they're the sort of positions where you say, take him down outside the box. Somebody else take him down. Luke Thomas, you get a yellow card sort of thing. But it didn't happen. I would say, this is a bit controversial. I think Stalacic could have done better with the goal. I think he was a little bit flat-footed. But look, these
he really got to it, though. If you look at the replay, and obviously we're going to talk to Stalacic in a bit, but the gap between his glove and the post was literally only just ball width. I mean, it was
it was a good finish. It was a good finish, and that's why I said I'm going to be a little bit harsh because I think he could have done better. Look, in that sort of situation, I think if he was slightly if he was a yard closer to the ball, he probably would have got that. But overall, it's a poor goal to concede when realistically we looked like the better side before they scored.
Yes, yeah. I mean, Brad, I put hot knife through butter. I've also got here on the 20-minute mark, Leicester City not picking the players up on the left. And that I suppose is Thomas's side. No, it wasn't. It was on the other side. So Ricardo, because Ricardo was going forward, and there was lots of space where he'd left. It didn't seem that Faes was going over to cover it.
Mm-hmm.
No, it didn't. And again, I'm gonna. Is that better? Is the camera working? Good.
Yeah, we can see you.
Something not. My camera went off, and then everything went berserk on my laptop. Sorry. That's where my concern comes in, because whilst I was happy with the lineup and getting dropped, that's something I feel that actually Coley does a bit better than Faes. I'm not going to go down the slating. I'll wait until we talk about the goal more in depth. But sometimes that's when Faes lets you down, because he wasn't supporting that side of things as much as Vestergaard does. Now, maybe Vestergaard, that's where he utilises his lack of pace, because he sits a bit deeper and he's able to go in. Unless, again, for the goal, thought he was 22 years old with lightning pace the way he went flying in for that. But that side, it is something that concerns me, that you look at other games when a Coley's played, and it just doesn't seem too much of a coincidence that a Coley plays, they favour the right side, Faes plays, they favour the left side.
I've got down here, Brad, sorry to interrupt you, I've got down here Ricardo staying forward a lot, and it was almost at times like we were playing three at the back. And I think when we do that, we look very susceptible to goals.
We do, but that is something that I'd noticed that we tend to do dependent on which side we attack from. I think when Christensen came on, you noticed Ricardo was a bit more dragged over centre, and Chowdhury came on. He became that back three. And I think the reason he does that is because we play a high line, that when we start to get more into their half and we're more further near the edge of their box, playing a high line, the gamble of that is, and Preston exploited. I was trying to say one or the other, and I nearly said both at once. Exploited that with that killer late goal. That he just feels that they need an extra body in there just to maybe save a bit of face. If they get beaten, they've got a third one that can sneak around the back and maybe hold them up and at least allow the rest of the team to get back. It just numbs us a little bit, because then the opposition know that Leicester are only going down one side because they've had to sacrifice a defender pushing on the other side. So
I feel like we're missing Ndidi significantly in this place. I think, like, you know, because Samare, again, like, I know you're going to talk about him, but if you replace Samare with Ndidi in that position, I don't think we concede that goal, because he's the one that drops back a bit more. He's more of a defensive player, whereas I don't think Samare can play that position all that well.
No, I get where you're coming from, and again, we do admit we do actually miss that ability to drive forward as potently as Ndidi could do. I know neither of them could, were potent in front of goal, but Ndidi would maybe see a pass a bit earlier than what Samari does. Samari still does make some smart passes. In terms of the goal, though, I'm afraid Vestergaard takes the fall. Two players take the fall because it happens in two parts. Faze and Vestergaard take the fall for me, because if first of all, if Vestergaard doesn't come careering in, Samare was already dealing with the problem. He then sees Vestergaard come charging in and stops, which kills his momentum. He manages, and this will shock you with Samare, he manages to regain momentum, start tracking back and making the ground up to help Faze out, and Faze does his best falling down impression and completely kills them going. So
he does. And coming on to Samare very, very soon, but Steve, is the problem, forgetting what we're going to be saying about Samare in a minute, is the thing that when Ramsey's back, he goes into that number 10, and then James drops back as the box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to tell you this, Brad, but I think that is the case. I think we will see JJ, because you can't drop Harry Winks in this position because he's too good on the pivot. I think JJ's that box-to-box midfielder that has the engine, that is actually quite intelligent on the ball as well. And at the moment, he's not a 10, but you can clearly see he can't play as a 10 in that role. And that's why he got taken off at on Friday. But I think, he fits that role next to Winks pretty well, because he can drive with the ball. And I think that also negates the Fast situation, because also Wout Fast likes to drive with the ball as well. We don't have any other defender that can get a foot on the ball and move it 10 or 15 yards in front of him like Wout Fast can. Can't see Coley doing it. You can't see Vestergaard doing it because he's not got the pace. And unfortunately for Ben Nelson, he's too much in the likeness of Vestergaard. So you can't, and you're going to pick one or the other. You can't pick Nelson and Vestergaard together because I don't think it works. So I think you drop them down for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I said it first, so I definitely agree with you. But, I think that will happen, which may surprise you on a few things I'm going to say later. Steve, there's where the shots came in from. Steve, 8% in the 6-yard box, 46% in the penalty box, 46% outside. And underneath, you can see where sort of the goals were scored from, where the shots were taken from. The goals are highlighted on there as well. Again, do we need to maybe cut down the number of long shots and try and get the ball into the box more? Yeah. Because when it's in the box and you're having a shot from in the box, as we saw with, fantastic substitution and primetime Messi, Bobby Ducover-Reid, you can see that what happens when you just whack the ball in.
Yeah, and I think this is why Marty's current system sort of negates our wingers a little bit in the sense of putting the ball in the box. He's quite happy for them to have the ball, but I don't see that often where the ball's coming into the actual box itself and there's players sort of running in last minute, like a Lampard sort of situation. I use not the big threat that we thought he could possibly be in this team, because he's never in the box when you want him to be there. So a lot of the time we're recycling the ball back from the wingers to the fullbacks into the midfield and then taking a shot from distance, as you can see by the chart there. With a proper striker up front, and I don't think Carranza did great when he came on Friday, but it is only his sort of 60th minute total he's played for Leicester so far. But he gives you that threat in the centre, and he'll sit in the box so you can put balls in the box. So I think when that happens, when that change finally happens, where we do see Carranza start more often, you will see balls going into the box more often, and there will be I think there'll be a lot more goals, because a big sod in the middle of the box, taking headers or deflecting off his arse or whatever, that's when the midfielders sort of push up and we get a lot of goals from Ndidi and KDH a couple of seasons ago because they were crashing into the box at the end.
Talking of big sods, Brad, this is starting to annoy me now. You can see we're attacking sort of really a lot, pretty much even, across the three areas. Again, Leicester in blue on this one. But where the shots are coming from, it's only 7% on Mavadidi's side. Is that because of the Christian effect? Because at the moment, if I'm looking at that as Phil Parkinson at Wrexham, I'd say, well, we'll bang everybody on the right and stop them attacking down there because they can't attack on the left.
Yeah, see, that's where, maybe a lesser experienced manager would say that, but you've always got the danger that if you focus on looking at that and going, all right, well, we don't need to worry about Mavadidi. Mavadidi will roll back to 2 seasons ago, and he'll ramp in a hat-trick in 30 minutes because you've left him free to roam, because you're so concerned about Fatawu and Winks and James coming through the middle that you actually give him that freedom to cut inside. And when he cuts inside, Chris, and you mentioned it earlier about his actual overall performance, he's quite dangerous. Even if he's just getting to the byline and he cuts it back in that 6-yard area, like you said, knee, arse cheek, it hits someone, goes in. They're the balls you're more worried about as a defence than a 30-yard effort. But I do, and it's so weird to say it, but it just shows you the difference in style of person of the player, because the Christian effect is probably the best way to sum it up, Chris. In the middle, you've got Winks, you've got James, you've got you've got Ayew sort of middle attack area, but he's in the middle of the park. On the wing, you've got Ricardo, you've got Fatawu. You've then also got, and I suppose Ayew can be classed as taking all three because he can drift to support either way. You focus so much down there. Mavadidi's got Thomas, and Thomas is kind of like, I'll go into the half and then over to you, Governor. That's your responsibility, not mine. And I think that's where the balance is so, the build-up even, but
I do get what you're saying, Brad, but are we not becoming a little bit one-dimensional here, Steve?
Yes and no. I think the both wingers were being doubled up on Friday night. So whenever either of them got the ball, there was 2 midfield or a left back and a midfielder closing them down. So you need to have somebody else that going through the middle itself and opening it up. But yeah, I think it does seem like we're just giving it to Abdul and saying, "Go on, mate, do something." When realistically, you're not going to win the championship by having one player doing all your goals.
Do you think that's the Ricardo effect on the right?
Well, I think we're overloading on the right because they're our best position. Ricardo and Abdul are our best sort of outlet on that side. I think once Christensen comes in, there will be a slight change and it'll be a bit more balanced. But yeah, I think it is. They just. I keep going to bang my head against the wall until the cows come home. But we need to have more of a threat in that middle of the pitch. And at the moment, we don't have a 10 that plays in that position. That naturally with JJ, I think when Ramsey comes back, he goes straight in on Saturday. And then we don't have a striker that's staying in that area as well, who seems to want to come out and touch the ball as much as possible. So yeah, it's really frustrating to see just all of it going down one side, and then. not having any end product. Because as I said, I know we scored, but I left thinking we were never going to score on Friday.
Yeah.
And I said the same thing against Coventry as well. It doesn't look like I know Mavididi missed the opportunity, but it didn't really look like we were going to score on the Saturday before either, to be honest.
I will say, at least we've got two attacking options. You're looking at West Brom, 0% and 18%. That's a bit.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Brad, I was going to ask you a question, and you've gone. You put me off. What was I going to ask you before we move on? Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Until you interrupt. No, joking aside. This was the first game where I've really been worried when the opposition attacked. Normally you said, well, Birmingham were a little bit toothless or whatever. They didn't really feel too worried against Coventry, even though they'd scored, 12 in 2 games. For this, every time they came forward, I'm like, oh my God. Or is that, again, just me?
No, there was a bit more fear of it. In fact, I was talking with Jess throughout the game, and we were kind of saying that it's going to be one of them nights. And funny enough, she actually said the only way we're scoring is an own goal. And I said the only way we're getting something out of this game is because West Brom's finishing is so awful. And that turned out to be the exact case. They couldn't put us up. They couldn't put us to.
Next week we'll get Jess on. She obviously knows what she's talking about.
Yeah,
did you not put a bet on? I'd have put a $5 on that, an own goal.
I wish I had it now. I'm going to get her inside information and put a $5 on it. But no, it is. You're throwing me off now. Very well done. Let's move on. Yeah, let's just move on.
Let's move on. You're boring me now. We'll move on. Now, look, can we... I'm joking. We normally talk tactics at this point, but we pretty much talk tactics all the way through the show. So what I've asked the guys to do is talk about one player. Brad knew what was coming from one of his comments he made in another show. But, Steve, I said to you, John, what player would you like to talk about? And you went for our goalkeeper. And I will just bring his stats up here because this if I'm very interested. And I love this. I just want to see this stat because I love the fact that we can see where West Brom's or where Stolarczyk's actual saves were.
Yeah, so this is not necessarily about his performance on Friday. It's about his performance overall, but it does play into the same effect. So my issue with Friday night is that there were four times where he parried the ball out into the box, and he got lucky that there was no striker. In the 89th minute, he parried out a free kick, and then their striker put it over the bar, which and that would have been 2-0, and that would have been game over. There was also a moment in the game where we had Abdul and Mavididi on the wings, and we had Samare, I believe, in the middle of the pot that were breaking for a counter, and he had hold of the ball, and he went and to roll the ball out, stopped himself, did a little spin, and then kept hold of it for 15 seconds. Now, I would say that in the Premier League, that was a sending off because he was out of his box. He was very lucky not to get sent off because he kept hold of it when he shouldn't have done. And also, it stifled that counter-attack. And the fans got really frustrated with that sense. I think he needs to be quicker with the ball. I know we talk all the time about like being steady and passing the ball out and make sure we keep possession. And that's all well and good. But games are won by scoring goals. And if we don't score goals, we're not going to win games. Overall, his shot stopping is pretty good, apart from the parrying out into the box. But my main issue, and it says there, accurate long balls 2 out of 5, 40%. His overall long ball accuracy of the season is 29%, which is not great for a goalkeeper. His short passing is 73%, not too bad, but like could be improved upon. Overall, I think he's doing okay, but there is room for improvement for him. And I think now that we've got, even though we haven't seen him yet, he might be a ghost. He might be the ghost of Danny Ward with the new goalkeeper that we brought in, Chris. You weren't sure about him, so maybe the club aren't sure about him now. And we were linked to James Trafford last week as well at Man City. So I wonder if we get to January and we're doing okay, but he's had a couple more mistakes. We're conceding goals. Do we replace him? And I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think he's okay in the Championship. But I think if you want to move to that top end of the Championship and into the Premier League, I just don't think he's good enough.
Wow. Bring back Danny Ward, eh?
No, No, definitely not. No, I almost choked on
Found the Danny Ward fan, everybody. We found the Danny Ward fan.
Like, he gets a bad rap because he does have Vestergaard and Wout Faes in front of him, but at this level, they are good enough defenders. But my main issue is the parrying out into the box. You know, we've seen him concede a goal against Oxford by doing that. He was very lucky not to concede again on Friday night. I just need that slight improvement to go from a sort of 6 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10 every week.
Yeah, no, I get your point. Brad, come on back. You can't hide. Because interestingly, I'm just trying to find my notes here, which I must have written somewhere. I'll look for them in a minute. Because
it's just capital letters, Samari, isn't it? That's all it is, just in capital letters.
Yeah. This is it. There you go. Boubacar Samari. If anybody's got a love child, I think this is yours, Brad. You accuse me of having a different one every week. At least you stick with one player, and here he is. Let's get his stats up. Look, you can see his heat map. I didn't bother doing the heat map for Stellaci because I thought it might not be the thing. Yeah, it does look like my granddaughter's dirty nappy. This, but again, as I said the other week, you know, it doesn't show up. When they do it online, it's blue on a black background, and it just doesn't show up. So this is the only one that when I try to change the colours that it works for, to show the different levels, because obviously some of the orange is light, some of it's dark. So looking at my granddaughter's nappy there, this is... Oh, can I just say, sorry, I didn't say, Steve, that Stellaci on FootMob got a rating of 7.3. Sorry, I should have said that. Brad, Samari got 7.1. There are his stats. Tell me what you want to say about Samari.
Yeah, see, the thing is, Chris, first of all, I'm going to turn around and say that I know, maybe it's a Frenchman in him. He does have a knack of just not putting, it seems very nonchalant, his effort. And I think that may just be the French vibe in him, because French football is exactly the same. Chris forgets to have the power to do this. So while Chris isn't here, got your back. You've got to give me that. That was that's the argument. No, my thing is, Chris, you've said this before.
I'm taking that power away from you.
I know, right? You love me, really. You've said this before about Chilwell. I saw that. The Leicester fans sometimes just feel like they need an out to abuse a player for the sake of abusing him, because if something goes wrong or the result doesn't go the way they hope, it's because he didn't do this in this particular moment of the game. And Chilwell for a while was that scapegoat. And I do feel like that sometimes Samari is just hated on for the sake of hating on. Now, is he as glamorous as Wilfred and Ndidi driving forward? No. Is he got the killer instinct pass like Winks on the pivot? No, Steve's right. He doesn't. He's a bit of a nitty-gritty. He throws his weight around. He gets stuck in. He gets a few cards, but he can actually do a decent job. And I know for a fact, and I almost heard the screams, I heard the typing on the internet with West Brom's goal, that some fans were probably instantly going, that fucking Samari, he's just stood there and done that. Well, he couldn't do anything about the goal. In fact, he tried everything to stop the goal, but everybody around him did the wrong thing. First of all, Vestergaard diving in. You completely kill Samari trying to shield him out and maybe stop the attack in the first part. Yes, he did a clever little manoeuvre to get through them, but you've got Samari standing still. He can't do anything because he's like, Vestergaard, what are you doing, mate? He's not going to collide into Vestergaard. Otherwise, we would end up with 3 people on the floor for that goal. Second part is he tracked back. He ran back, tried to cover it. The problem was, Wout Faes' legs went from underneath him and he fell on the floor. So whilst Paul Samari was chasing back to do it, he couldn't do it. And I just feel like people wanted to blame Samari because of liking Vestergaard.
I think people want to blame Samari because 9 times out of 10 he's crap. But I'm looking at Looking at the stats here, because we're looking for time, Brad. Looking for time. 5 minutes you had. You're up to 4.5. No, look. All joking. So look, interceptions 0, tackles 1. He's a defensive midfielder. Now, don't get me wrong. 6 recoveries. 92% accurate passes. 1 chance created. Duels aren't too bad. But he's a tall bugger. Only makes 1 aerial duel. But as a defensive midfielder, 1 tackle, is that good enough?
How did he get 3 fouls committed in 1 tackle?
That's impressive. That is impressive. But
because he misses the ball, so they're not counted probably as tackles.
You say 1 tackle isn't enough. Well, that tells you that he wasn't attacked as much by West Brom. That means they probably went down a different channel. It wasn't his side of the midfield. You're going to get that in a game. You've done this before with Wout Faze, and I'm sorry, but I think just because sometimes he goes quietly about his business, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's doing a bad job, because you don't get good defensive stats and play crap. You just can't do one or the other. You're either not doing great and you're deservedly getting dragged off, or you're putting in a solid performance and minus the goal, which you can't really put any blame on him for, even though it comes from the middle of the park. He had a solid game, Chris. And he is playing that part as a defensive midfielder, Chris. You're going to throw the defensive part in there. Him in that defensive midfield role has helped that back line concede 1 goal in the last 3. In Birmingham, no goals conceded. Coventry, no goals conceded. West Brom, 1 goal conceded. He's played his part in that defensive role in shoring us up. As
82% shot direction down the middle.
Yeah, that's where they went to the channels, but they got Winks one side of him. And centrally,
36% left side, 37% right side, 27% middle.
Maybe they get the ball. Yeah, but you're also looking at giving the ball away. That's not a tackle. If he intercepts the pass or he gets a block and it's not a tackle. A tackle is I had to crunch him to do it. And I think it was Maldini who once said,
right, no blocks. No blocks.
Yeah.
Also, you said interceptions. He made 0 interceptions as well. So.
Well, okay. Well, I tried to think of that one. I didn't know. He took the strats away. He didn't do that for you, did he? Favoritism, I say. But also, right. Maldini once said, if I had to slide to make a challenge, I'd made a mistake. He only had to do that once. So,
right, I think we need to get you sectioned because you're comparing Samaro to Maldini, and that
no,
that
I'm not
can't
comparing
happen.
the two. I'm making the statement that Maldini once said, if I had to go in and make a slide tackle or a tackle...
Right, there we go. Moving on. Moving on.
I'd have to have higher drugs than you if I was comparing the two on talent level, Steve.
I look forward to the recurring feature next week of just Samare and Brad.
Yeah, that will be it. Okay,
no one else will.
I love the fact, and you beat me to it, Steve, that he was saying about making interceptions, and that was nil as well. That was brilliant.
I know, I couldn't really win on the one. I think that's favouritism.
Right, let's go. Everybody's favourite part of the show, and we're going to go through this reasonably quickly. Starting with the starting 11, always a good place to start. Brad, Steve, and what's he called from Leicester? Mercury. Can't even think of his name. Jordan.
Think of his name.
Yeah. Jordan Blackwell. I have to say, even Steve has started to feel a little bit confused by some of his ratings. So we'll start with you first, Steve. And let's start with the gentleman you picked to talk about, and that was Stolarczyk.
I give him a 6. I think he was okay. There were times where, as I say, parrying the ball out into the box isn't ideal, but overall, it was 1 goal conceded, and he had a fairly sort of boring game, really. So I think 6 is fair.
Brad?
Yeah, minus the goal. Didn't really actually have that much to do. Needs to improve on the things that Steve said, but I'm going to give him a 6.
Good. Oh, you are slicking buggers, you. 6 from Jordan. He seemed to take steps to his right just before Ling Jr.'s shot. opening up his left corner. He didn't have many difficult shots to save after that, but his positioning was pretty good. There you go for Solarczyk. Next up, Steve, Ricardo.
6 again. My issue is that he looked okay in the first 20 minutes, but he really tailed off, and he made some really sort of poor passing decisions. His tackling wasn't as great. I don't think it was his best performance for us, so a 6.
A 6. Brothers?
Yeah, I think we learned from West Brom game why he needs to be playing 75 minutes and not full 90, because his passing, Stevie Wonder would have done better at some points in that game. I mean, he literally passed it into an open space. He had a good start and he looked lively, and he's still one of our better players for the majority of the game. So I am going to give him a 6, but by fingertips he gets a 6 from me, I'm being honest.
Can I just say that I saw Ricardo today?
Did you?
I did, and I beat my horn at him and called him a wanker. And the reason why is that he pulled out of the training ground at the A46, and I was in the fast lane, and he accelerated and pulled in front of me to then pull back into the slow lane again to go into the service station up the road. So when he pulled in front of me, I beat my horn and called him a wanker, and then I realised it was Ricardo Pereira. So...
You know, it'd be funny now if he scores on Tuesday, goes up to the cameras and goes, "Where?"
Yeah. Mr. Blackwell, he played very well in tight areas in the first half and made good runs to not only support teammates but again threaten the box. But he also played a few sloppy passes. Gets a 6. Well, God, this is a loving tonight. Yeah. Talking about Stevie Wonder, he just called to say he loves you, Jordan. Right, let's go on to this gentleman about phase. Steve.
You can't give 0.5, so I'm gonna go again for a 6. I don't think he was that bad. His defending was poor for the goal. He shouldn't have dived in. But overall, he had a couple of moments that were a bit, but he did progress the ball well up the pitch when we had the opportunities to. His passing wasn't too bad. I think he's just unfortunate to be on the same side as a certain right back that likes to push off into the pitch a bit more. So it leaves him a bit more, that's right. Yeah, so he leaves him a bit more exposed because he's Ricardo, isn't he? So a 6 again.
A 6 again. Brad?
Well, I think we know who Steve's favourite is at the back. Because I thought
not fast.
I don't know. No, all kidding aside, I wasn't enamoured. First of all, the mistake sticks in your head, which is just part and parcel of football. But he was caught out of position a few times. I think that free kick rebounded. He just sort of, I know a few of them did, but he was one that sort of stood still and let it happen. Oxford a few weeks ago, the same thing happened. That's something that needs to be fixed. I wasn't really that impressed with Wout Faze. I'd want us to go back to Coley. I'm going to give him a 5.
God, are you feeling all right? You've gone different to a 6. Wout Faze, he was left exposed, but it was a really poor one-on-one defending for Elling Jr.'s goal. The West Brom man sidestepping his challenge easily. He didn't do a lot wrong after that, but it was a poor moment. He got a 5. I actually didn't think he had that bad a game. He was pinging the ball forward. I know I don't normally do this, but there's a couple of players I'm just going to mention because he was actually because we have a man of the match, and then I couldn't decide between two, and you're going to go mad at me here, but this guy was my deserves the mention nomination because at times, bye Brad, at times I just think he did what was needed, and that was pass the ball. I mean, you got Vestergaard doing some very lovely passes along the ground, but this guy was actually doing quite a nice couple over the top.
I can't disagree with you because I gave him a 6 out of 10. So, and I do think he progressed the ball pretty well. The reason he's not a 7 is because of the goal that we conceded. So, you are correct to an extent. That's for sure. I'm not going to argue
that. I will take that. If Steve says I'm correct to an extent, that extent is big enough for me.
I'm just doing you two alone.
Mr. Vestergaard, the man with the dog, Steve.
I, as much as the goal was partially his fault as well with the diving in, I don't think he was tested all that much in the game. I think he was pretty good with the ball at his feet. He was actually a slight threat in the area for a change for a big guy. I haven't seen many corners go into the box that connected, but I think there was a couple that he tried to go for. And Michael's not going to be happy with this, but I'm going to give him a 7.
I was going to say, I don't think Michael enjoyed this game much, do you? Brad?
Look, was minus the goal was actually quite fairly solid. I'm still advocating that similar in what they offer us, the future's Ben Nelson, that torch needs to be passed at some point. Wrexham could be the opportunity because, speaking to that Wrexham fan, the level of inexperience, it could be wise to have someone with a bit more pace in there. But on the performance, Chris, minus the goal, it was fairly different. And I didn't notice him make as many errors as Wout-Face did. Normally, you know what I'm like, I go in tandem, but this time I am going to go and give him a 6.
A 6. Well, Michael's not going to like this either. When he pressed out from the back, it didn't pay off, including when he rushed out with Hegabogo for the Baggies goal, but his composure on the ball and passing through the lines was very good. And he gets a 7. From Jordan there. Luke Thomas, Steve.
I don't think he did much wrong at the weekend. I keep saying at the weekend, but at the weekend I mean by Friday. I don't think he was awful. I just think that we lack down that left-hand side when he doesn't overlap the midfielder. I think he might be a bit. He's still scared to touch the ball. It's like it's hot, the ball comes to me and he's thinking he's going to get burnt. So I give him a 6. It was okay, but overall, we need to be improving in that defense, and I think that's one area we can improve by bringing in Christensen.
And so far, obviously, just to point this out, that Steve's man of the match so far is Vestergaard. Just saying that. Brad.
Hold on, what was your rating? I didn't hear Steve's rating for it.
6.
I just didn't hear it. Genuinely didn't hear it. Another game for me that kind of passed Thomas by, and I think he should be given that freedom because he used to do the overlap quite well for us. Maybe more memorable in the COVID season, but he used to have that aggression to go forward with him. My only problem is, how old is he now? At 22, 23? And he's been playing for us since he was like 19. He should have read the danger when Vestergaard was beaten and instantly got into that centre-back position and just said, look, I'm covering your job, someone get over there, and had someone do that. And then it's not his responsibility. Maybe not as centrally, but I just felt he could have been a bit more in position, ready to kind of stop the goal. I feel like it was a game that didn't play to what he brings to the table, whereas Christensen, I know we've said it a lot, he propels forward, he overlaps. That's where we would have benefited from him. Kind of passed him by, but I don't really remember too much. And I'm probably being a bit nitty on the goal situation with Thomas, to be fair. So I'm going to give him a 6.
Can I just ask, do you think he's regressed since he's come through?
Yeah.
I don't think he's the same player that when he came through, we were all excited, and he was an attacking fullback that was quick, and he just doesn't seem like that player anymore.
Yeah. I feel like the kicking out of the squad and then the loan situation is still there in his mind, and I think Marty sees a player in him, and he just wants to slowly maybe bring that back to his game, because if he goes gallivanting forward and gives away the ball and we get caught out, and us fickle fans as we are slaughter him, all that work to build him back up goes to pot.
Do you think as well that, for me, probably his best season was the COVID season?
Yeah.
When he didn't have a crowd around him. And look, we always say professional players, they should be able to play with the crowd. That's the whole idea of the sport, etc. But I just think maybe, when you haven't got, let's be honest with you, we all know at work, when the manager's away, you just go a little bit easier, don't you? But anyway, he gets a 7 off Jordan. He put in recovery tackles and spotted danger well. He passed pretty well too. An all-round decent showing. All right, here we go. Brad's gone off to get the tissues. Mare.
Had the worst time ever then, didn't I, with the camera?
You did. That was an open goal. Even Daka couldn't have missed that one, Brad.
West Brom striker would have. Sorry.
Sorry, I just coughed that. I give Samari a 7. I think overall he wasn't terrible. He didn't do any interceptions. He only had 1 tackle. He somehow committed 3 fouls. He got a yellow card on the 18-yard box for a silly challenge. But look, he was present. I don't think he was incredible. But if I could give points, I'd be higher up the 6 area. But I can't, so I have to round it up to a 7 for him.
7. Oh, right. There we go. Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, Steve says 0 interceptions, 0, only 1 tackle. Like the great Maldini once said, if you've got to make a load of them, you're not very good at what you're doing. The fact that he only had to make 1 tells you how good he was. Michael just doesn't like Leicester at all. Just seeing his ratings throughout the show. I'm going to give him a 7 as well. I think he's criminally underrated, and I think I genuinely think there is people out there that just give him the hate for the sake of hate. And then I love them people because they've got a really serious status. You completely slam them down, and then they just go, "Oh, it's fishing." No, you weren't, mate. You genuinely thought that. You've just been made like a mug. So yeah, 7. Anyway.
Oh my!
Have you been reading my Twitter, Brad?
Sure.
What, you don't even follow me on Twitter.
Italian, Chris.
You don't even follow me on Twitter. What am I talking about?
Right outside. I'm just that good, Steve. You think I don't follow you? It's another account.
Bakary Samare, Jordan, one of his better games of the season, and perhaps a response to the doubters, with the midfielder much more willing to play forward and start attacks. He showed confidence and quality in the way he passed and carried the ball.
I've always thought that, Jordan,
He got a 7. I'm going to have to say this, guys, and I can't, like I say, I can't believe I'm saying this, but he was my man of the match.
Chris, I've always liked you, mate. Yeah, I like you, Chris. You've never, you're just not true what the rest say about you. I mean, Steve's just gone off to get the Kleenex for you.
Sorry, I thought I'd join you as a Muppet.
Oh, here we go. Hey, you say that, but he's your joint man of the match at the moment with 7. I'm just saying.
Can I just say, right, in my defence, when I look at these games, and I'm thinking, right, I don't always want to give it to somebody just because I know nobody's kid score a goal. But I never really thought, Jamie Vardy's the man of the match. We were not in possession for 89% of the game, then he popped up and scored. That must make him the man of the match. I look at the individuals and I think, who's done something that has impressed me? And I have to say, and I know I was playing devil's advocate with you earlier, Brad, because that's my job. It's in my contract. It says must play devil's advocate to Brad.
0 interceptions, but okay, fair.
No, he did. He did get that.
You never have to intercept anything.
Compared to his normal game, I thought this was one of his better games. And I like Jordan said, he showed confidence and quality in the way he passed and carried the ball. I can't believe I'm agreeing with Jordan either. Brad was bad enough, but Jordan as well.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Now, when I say he's my man of the match, he's not getting an 8, 9 or a 10. He might only be getting a 7, but he was still my man of the match. And I think I've probably bought too many drugs off you because my man of the match was Sumare and my deserves a mention was FaZe. But yes,
You watch a different game
on back. I think I'll have whatever Michael's on as well, I'll tell you. But no, I thought he had a pretty decent game, Brad. Back me up, Brad. Back me up.
Yeah. You know what, Chris? I don't care what Steve's about to say. He can't say anything. He just gave him a 7, so he must agree with us to some degree. Yeah. Take the lemon sip away from him, and the man loses it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm with you, Chris. Never a truer word spoken. Well done, Chris. I'm glad to have you on board.
You know what I mean, Brad? This show used to be so good when it was just the two of us.
Oh, no. Why did you have to go and get a lurchin? Come on, really, yeah. Jordan's brother.
Here we go.
Yes. Yeah, Samare's outstanding, guys. He's one of the best players I've ever seen play for us.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying on this one game, he had a good game. I don't know. Even Jack the Ripper didn't murder every day, did he? You know what I mean? Some players.
Sorry, I love how we went from any comparison in the world you could have come up with. You could have said a broken clock strike twice a day, anything like that. You went Jack the Ripper didn't murder every day.
Can I just say, you may have noticed there was a pause before I said that. There was a lot of names going through my little brain.
I'm thinking, with Jack the Ripper.
Well, which one? Yeah, but I didn't say which. I didn't say Jack the Ripper or Yorkshire Ripper.
Jack the Ripper. Yeah, you have to be very careful with the Yorkshire.
Well, no, he's gone. I mean, it's years. And come on, I'm safe with Jack the Ripper. You know what I mean?
You could have gone a lot. I'd admit, I've just had one pop into mind. You could have gone a lot worse.
Well, exactly. If you're thinking about the one I'm thinking, please don't say his name. Sumare really should just be putting the kit out for the team. This is what tells me the manager still has a few issues to sort, like seeing the man should not be in the squad. Anyone thinking different? Well, I think you'll find me and Brad were, Kevin. But it's, again, you're on the same bus as Elm and Steve, whatever he wants to be bloody called, Muppet, whatever. Elmo, is that Elmo, isn't it? Oh, I see! Light bulb moment. Elm and Elmo. Yes. Oh, it all
my middle name is Elm, so that's why.
It all makes sense now.
I mean.
I don't understand what's going on here.
I don't. I've completely lost it.
I mean, it's a great defense of hatred to give a 7. It really is. You must. I know you're ill, Steve, but giving him a 7 after all that hate must really.
Hey, I said he played well. I think he played well on Friday. I did. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But he's not my man of the match, and I don't think he should be. But your opinions are all valid. I always say we've all.
But the fact that I've made him my man of the match. The fact that I've made him my manager of the match shows how unusually shit he is that this was such an improvement.
This is a personal growth moment for you, Chris, and I appreciate that.
It did. I did it to FaZe the other season. I gave him man of the match once, never again. But this time, this is the one for Sumare. All right, let's move on.
One person one day.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on. Harry Winks, Steve.
He is a 7 with an asterisk. He's my man of the match. I think he was good in tight circles. He released the ball pretty well. Overall, I think the team ticks with him in the side. And when he's not on his game, we struggle. He did everything that he should be doing. My only gripe is that I wish he was scoring more goals and assisting more as a midfielder. But overall, I think he didn't really put a foot wrong for me.
So you're 7 with an asterisk. I'm putting that down as an 8.
Yeah, okay, 8, fine, yeah.
Which it basically is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I have to say, as your man of the match, it was also Alan's who went, giving the game away now, Jim and Wayne's, and Kate's as well. It was also Kate's man of the match. Brad,
a company to be part of, you know.
It is. It is. It could be
Yeah.
worse. Could be Jack the Ripper. But then again, Jack the Ripper was a cut above the rest.
Oh, oh God.
Thank you. They're all night.
Look, I said this last week, and I have the pleasure of saying it again. Winks is returning to the Winks we know and loved when he was playing. I said it after the Preston game. Don't come on that pitch. Do not wear our shirt if you cannot get your head out your arse and sort your life out a little bit. Winks has done that. Now in January, he might be advocating for a move. It might be a free come the end of the season. If he's putting in performances like this, now he's got his head sorted, he knows he can't escape Leicester, I'm all for him playing. And it was probably a difficult game to pick a man of the match because there wasn't really a standout performance. There wasn't a moment in that game we thought, wow, yeah, that's going to be something that I remember.
Maybe one or two for tomorrow.
Yeah, obviously, we know that. Me and you speak sense. We know that. Yeah. But we have to try and pretend we're not as just genius.
The penny's just dropped with Steve. Look, what sort of channel this is.
Looney bin.
Leicester won the Premier League. We were like the ragtag of the Premier League. This is the ragtag of Leicester City channels. Everybody who wouldn't get on any other channel.
But I will agree because it's actually difficult, and unfortunately, not because there's so many to pick from, I don't know which one, but because it was difficult to actually pick one. But I have to agree with the point Steve's made. Winks, could do a bit more in the attacking sense, but fairly solid, great passer of the ball. But his passing stats aren't as good as 94%. I don't know, but I'm gonna give him an 8.
Oh, I wasn't sure we were going to get a score at the end of that, then, Brad. Jordan says a very cool head in the middle. Winks gave Cifuentes the control he wants. Sustaining attacks is certainly easy with him in the side. He gets a 7. Can I just ask, I don't know if either of you know, obviously at the end of the season he leaves on a free, but in January he can negotiate with non-English teams a contract. Is that, again, if he negotiates in January, is that because it won't come into effect, I guess, then until the end of the year, so he still would go on a free?
Yes, effectively, yeah. We don't get a fee for him. It's just, but the club could elect to sell him in January to that team he agrees a contract with. So, I guess it depends on if the club want to let him go on a free. But, and this is a shocker for me, I actually think he signs a new 1-year deal. Yeah,
after everything he's just been saying.
Yeah, I think he stays for 1 more year after this. I think he looks like he's getting along with Marty and he's playing football. He's settled in the area. Well, he's not really in the area, is he? But he's settled at the club to an extent. I think he carries on, comes to January. We offer him a 1-year extension. He signs it and then leaves for free of the season after.
You serious?
I am.
You have got no ground. No, actually, in fairness, wouldn't be the end of the world. I wouldn't necessarily argue with that. My only worry is how long can we keep paying him 90 grand a week? You know, but
he's on 70 in the Championship, so it's not quite 90 grand. Yeah, it's slightly less, just slightly.
But if he's going to take a year, he's going to take that with thinking, I want to be back in the Premier League. It depends on our position in January.
We could be in the Premier League.
Talking about it already, you know. James says, Matt Jason has just said he'd sooner have Skip than Samari in the middle.
I don't want what he's having, if that's his opinion.
Yeah, I
James,
agree.
Jordan James, Steve?
I gave John James a 5. He linked up quite well with Mavididi, but overall, he wasn't great on Friday night. I do think that we lost a lot of intensity in that midfield when he went off. But overall, it wasn't his best game. So a 5 out of 10 for me.
Brad?
Yeah, it was fairly solid. I think we were already seeing glimpses of someone who wants to be here. His aim is already clear. He's made that, verbally come out and said it. And he gets around the pitch a lot. I think, like Steve said, once Ramsey, learns how to tackle and doesn't get sent off every time he plays, he'll have a more steadier role and he'll be in a more comfortable area. We did lose that impetus, which is why I made the idea of moving maybe Mavididi into that role instead of Ayew. But on Friday, it was a 5 because he came off early-ish and he did lose a bit of impetus once they scored.
Steve, I know you've got an Elmo mask there.
Mm.
Have you also got a Jordan mask as well? Because you both, in fact, have agreed 100% with Mr. Blackwell.
I don't like this, Steve. I don't like this.
I'm going to put
that into a good shooting position for his deflected effort over the bar, but City probably didn't see enough of him on the ball in attack beyond that. He did his fair share of defensive work, and he gave him a 5 as well. Ooh, you're giving him a 5. Ooh. Ooh, football friends. There we go. Love it. I'm sorry, I'm just going off on my own show here. Fatawu, Steve.
I give him a 6 as well. He wasn't really effective on Friday. Once he gets doubled up on, which is happening more and more. At one point, there was sort of 3 defenders around him on Friday night. So
yeah, that was quite early on as well. Yeah.
So he didn't look as effective as he can be. I think that he also falls foul to the fact that if he doesn't sort of take on the defender and beat him a couple of times in the first 10 minutes, he just stops doing it. We saw it on the wing where he tried it a couple of times and the defender just got there and he thought, okay, well, I'm not going to try that anymore. But actually, if he carried on doing it, that was quite a threat. But I think a 6 is fair. I think, look, we all know what he's capable of, but he's just being mocked out of game. So he needs to find that next level. To the elite mindset is a player that can be mocked out of a game, but can still produce.
Yeah. Brad?
Yeah, here's one thing I want to be reined in, and I don't think it's going to get reined in because Marty seems to encourage it, but maybe turn it down a notch. Stop shooting from 35 yards out. I know 1 in 20 go in Fatawu, but the difference between me giving Fatawu a 4 and what I'm about to give him is the assist. If he does more of them balls into the box, instead of trying to ping it into the top bins every time, we'd get a far better player than we actually have. And we've got a really good player. I'm not trying to say he's done it. What I'm saying is the most frustrating thing on Friday, and Ricardo was guilty of it, there was a few of us guilty of it, but he's always going to be the main culprit because what he does is cutting in, shoot. When he put that ball into the box, I know it was an own goal, but he technically assisted the equaliser. And had he done that a bit more when we had bodies in the box or Carranza on the pitch as well, who knows what would have happened. I'm going to give him a 5 learning curve, please.
Okay. He should be learned by now, though. He's been here with us.
True. He should do. But
all I'll say to Steve is, ooh, football friends. I'm going to have to get that as a video. He got around Taylor regularly, but the end product was often lacking. He didn't give up, though, and deliver the right ball late on. Obviously got a 6 because Steve gave him a 6. Shall we see how many times Jordan and Steve have agreed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times so far. We've only been through it. It's 50% of the time.
We actually talk behind you guys' back. We're always
yeah. You are Jordan. We've never seen Jordan.
Never seen them both in the same place.
I think Jordan's had plastic surgery, and this is Jordan that we are talking to.
Oh, he's handsome though, isn't he? Look at him. Oh.
I'm saying nothing. Mavididi.
I actually give Mavididi a 7. I think he was okay on Friday night. He was getting more involved with the ball when he got the ball. We didn't seem to find him all that often, but the trickery did work at certain points. I just think when JJ went off, he was unfortunate to lose that sort of outlet that he could pass the ball into rather than just passing the ball back. But overall, I think it was one of his better performances.
Ooh, football friends. That's all I'm saying at this point.
Not again.
Brad.
Well, that's get. You've ruined my night, Chris, just by knowing I'm going to give. Anyway, this was the first time that Mavididi has been taken off the pitch, and we weren't all sat there going, "Finally, he's been awful. He's not looked himself."
Yeah.
This was the first time he came off, and I actually said, "Why Mavididi? Why not make that change anywhere else?" And I know I said earlier he's going to make that sacrificial when we go a bit more central, but I'm with Steve on this one. His better performance throughout the season was unfortunate to come off, but it was tactical more than performance, that it has been before. So I don't want to be football friend. So I know you'll upgrade it, but I'm going to go 6 with an asterisk.
No, that is upgraded to a 7.
Oh no! Don't do it to me.
Football friend.
Football friend.
Can you take your beard off for me for a second?
Yes. Oh my goodness me. Come back, Brad. Come back.
Why do you like living when you agree with Jordan so much?
He showed really good footwork at times in the first half and always attacked his man, creating the pockets of space he needed to deliver regular dinked crosses into the box. Nearly finding Ricardo with one, but he was quieter in the second half. And that, I've got to say, is very, very true. A lot of the praise that he got, I think, was for his first half performance. In the second half, that was probably why he went.
Chris, I've come up with a theory. I don't think that we're morphing into Jordans on this show. I think Jordan's just too scared to comment in the comment section, and he's actually watching these streams and taking notes from us. That's our defence, isn't it?
It is. And Steve is just checking now the Leicester Mercury to make sure he doesn't.
Whatever he gave you,
No, I don't do that. I give it all. These are my results from Friday night. So as soon as I get in the vehicle, I write down what I'm thinking, and then I don't.
Yeah.
Well, that's dangerous. No wonder you nearly crashed into Ricardo. You're writing down your numbers.
Nice one, Brad.
I take down another point for being a wanker earlier. Is that?
All right. Here we go, Steve. Oh, is he going? I'm actually more excited to see if you're going to agree with Jordan rather than what you're actually going to give him. But Mr. Ayew,
6 out of 10. He was okay with his shot. I still think he should have done better with the shot in the first half. Look, we know what we're going to get with Jordan Ayew. He does get hold of the ball quite a lot and fall over. That's his favourite thing to do. I think he probably prefers to do that more than scoring goals, to be honest. He must get like a big kick out of it. But he didn't really put a foot wrong. I just think he's unfortunate to be playing in a position that doesn't really suit him as a striker. So overall, I think a 6 is fine, but with an asterisk of knowing that he's not a striker.
No asterisks. They are banned.
No. There's no extra point. I'm just saying, as an asterisk, that he's not a striker. So
I take it on. I take it on board.
Yeah,
Brad.
I actually
ignore my smile, by the way.
Yeah, I also don't worry. I actually wasn't enamoured with Jordan. I think sometimes he gets this sense of, I have to do this. I need to prove my worth. This is my time. Vardy's moved over now. I'm going to be your main man, whether you like it or not. And I think a few times, sorry, something just...
Somebody died.
I'm going to say,
I just killed him.
Falling over.
I just killed him off screen. My point is sometimes his own ego kind of enters the match fray, and sometimes he goes too far with the ball and he loses it. He turns down passing opportunities to shoot through a crowd of players. Vardy would have scored that chance. There you are, Chris. I said it live on air again. There you go. I'm going to give him a 5, Chris, because
we're not bothered. we couldn't give a shit, I said red card next time you said it, Brad.
Super sub, come back on. My name is Ferdinio the Third. You don't know who I am.
I've no idea who you are, but what I'm going to say is there you go.
I'm going to give him a 5 because I feel like someone's intelligent and a level of experience in the game should know not to be so egotistical.
One of you is football friends. You're pointing at Jordan there, Steve. You need to go the other way because it
No,
wasn't
that's
Brad.
not Jordan. That's Brad, Chris. I know they look alike, but it's not Jordan.
No, but you are pointing at Jordan Ayew there.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. It was you, Brad. You agreed with him. He showed really good footwork. Oh, no, hang on. That was Steffi. His early run off the shoulder and shot wide looked promising for a dangerous performance to an Ayew, but he didn't threaten the box beyond that. His hold-up was good. This is, of course, Jordan Blackwell, the first half, but his set-piece delivery was poor, and his hash clearance nearly led to a West Brom goal. Apart from that, Jamie Vardy would have got his goal.
Also, I still can't get over the fact that interview he did with Oxford was the most boring interview I've ever seen in my life. I keep thinking about that moment where he's talking to the camera and you're like, who is this guy?
I'm pretty sure if he ever expresses joy, the whole universe will spontaneously combust.
Yeah.
That is why I daren't put them up again. Right, here we go. Substitutes. Steve Carranza.
I think he was okay. I think the issue is he's not had much football so far for us. So I think he falls foul to that. A 5 is where he was at. He wasn't great, but he wasn't poor. He still put himself about a bit, but the yellow card sort of curtailed all of his strengths.
Yeah. 5 for you, Brad?
A little worried that he'll become the new Slimani. Bung him on, ball in the air, and if he does nothing, he's going to get 5s every week. And that's what I'm giving him.
You mean not the new Vardy?
No.
Look, he's still a handsome man, all right? He's got that going for him, but that at the moment, that's all he's got.
Oh, yeah, great. We'll envy the back line into conceding a goal for him then. Yeah, look, need to see more of him. He's a 5, but I already have early worries that he'll be a Slimani trait used. Not trust.
He was eager to get involved and feisty too, but he went down too easily, earning himself a booking for simulation, allegedly.
I bet his missus loves that he goes down that easy.
And then I wasn't going there, Brad. I ignored it, you may have noticed. And then blazed over when he had the time to do better. Now, he only got a 4 off Jordan Blackwell.
Oh, bloody hell, that's the lowest score I've ever seen him give so far.
I didn't think they were in his vocabulary to say the word 4.
Yeah.
This week, it is his lowest. Jeremy Monga, Steve.
5 as well. I think he came on and within sort of 10 seconds got a free kick. It looked quite lively. But again, when he got booked for diving, it sort of took the confidence out of him a little bit. And also they did double up on him again like they did with Abdul. I like the fact they switched sides. That was good. But overall, I just don't think it was the game that he wanted to perform.
No. I mean, I've always said, Brad, bring him on as a super sub rather than start him, although I do think he'll start tomorrow night. But this wasn't his best performance at all.
No, it wasn't, and he's going to have a few of these throughout the season. But then you're going to get magic moments for more times than not.
Magic moment. Sorry.
I can't believe I set that up there, didn't I? Jesus Christ. It wasn't his best performance. The naivety, I think, again, he gets away with that at the under-18s. These are professionals with experience. They're going to see that coming a mile off. Wasn't his greatest. He'll bounce back low. 5.
5. Well,
still have confidence and magic moments. Yes, I'll give you that line again. He did have the confidence to try and take on players and smart with the ball.
Well, Jordan has given him, or what has he said first of all? His feet are lightning quick and he dances around defenders' challenges with ease. Maybe he should have been on Strictly Come Dancing then. So he doesn't need to dive. He needs to be told or at least learn to sell them better. Got a 6 off Jordan. Yeah.
I'm just going
Christensen, Steve. Victor.
6. We looked slightly better on the left with him in. He does look a bit like James Ellsworth, though, if anybody knows that wrestler. With the band around his face, he looks just like James Ellsworth at the weekend.
Give me a clue.
The first ever women's banner money.
McMahon, as Chris Jogo called him. Chris, I'll send you a picture so you'll see it.
Yeah, you get the reference with the mask. Hang
on, Chris.
That's tickled me, that comparison, because I was trying to think all game he looked like one of them wrestlers you see in Americans.
There you go, Chris. If you search James Ellsworth, you'll see who I mean. I did put it on Twitter, to be fair. He looked very similar to that.
I do follow you, but I didn't.
Yeah, Brad.
Reference, but that is hilarious.
I don't know if you can see it on my phone.
Yeah, the one picture I just brought up. Well, I thought he was in his underwear, but he's obviously a wrestler.
There you go. That's Christensen. So you got some.
Yeah, there is no. In fairness, he has a couple of pictures where he has got some stubble. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
I think 6. He was better when he came on, but overall didn't really impact the game all that much. So I think we'll see a lot more of him going forward.
Brad?
Yeah, I mean, you take everything into account, the injury that he sustained, been out for a while. Throwing in when the game was up against it, did fairly well. I got to give him a 6.
6. Well, should we see what Jordan gave him?
No.
Press the right button. Ooh, football friends. He gave him a 6 as well. I said that before, didn't I? Oh, no, Christensen, sorry. No, he gave Christensen a 5. Sorry, I was mixing up Christensen and Monga. Easy mistake for anybody to make.
Oh, yeah, I can definitely see how you mix them pair up.
Yeah, exactly. His overlapping runs did free up some space for Monga at times, but he didn't do much beyond that. All right, look, the hero of the hour. And look, if you're ever going to say the best substitutions are those that make an impact, I've always said this guy is brilliant. And he should be starting every week. Maybe even before Carranza. Maybe he should be given that role. Steve?
6.
You're looking like that
goal, but his shot was going well wide of the post, so he was lucky that he got a deflection and went into the net. I actually didn't think he offered all that much until he scored, and even then I didn't see the goal. So based on what I saw before the goal, he was a 6. He was basic.
Can I just say you've yet to learn when I'm being sarcastic?
Oh no, I know. I can tell you're being sarcastic. I was just putting that was all.
Yeah, it was going well wide. You're quite right if you follow the trajectory of the ball. But like you say, shoot it, because I mean he was kind of. I mean, why he decided, and anybody else would have probably taken it on the chest and let it fall and then shoot. But no, he decides to try a bicycle kick. As it happened, that was probably what fooled the defenders, and it went in off a defender. But put the ball in the box, Brad, and it might just do that.
Yeah, I mean, some say he is the Jamaican Lionel Messi. Others say he coached Ronaldo. All we know is he's BCR, which is Bobby D Cordova-Reid.
That's BDCR, isn't it?
Well, I couldn't be asked for the first part. It made more sense because you had Cordova and Reid on there to remember his first name was Bobby, all right? That was hard enough to remember, let alone all the letters of the alphabet in there.
He sounds like an old VHS player.
I know he is. BCR. He's BCR, yeah. It's all great. Look, to be honest with you, that goal was the goal. You know, to any idiot that went to that game and left to miss the goal of the season, it's just horrible. I mean, it was a top bins finish. Who would do such a thing?
Who would?
You're not a top fan if you leave the game before the end of it.
Go home early, yeah.
Here's wankers. That's why I'd shout at them if I knew anyone. You were there though, Steve, so you wouldn't have missed it, would you?
Look, I had to get home.
in fairness, I didn't know he was on the pitch until I saw him volley into their player's leg. I've got to give him a 6 because he did rescue a point for us.
Yeah. This time, definitely. Football friends. It looked like being a poor substitute appearance with the final ball not there from the Jamaican, but he popped up with a great acrobatic volley to force the equaliser. Got a 6. Just like you two.
Yep.
And finally, Mr. Daka, I will tell you straight off, Daka did not get anything at all because he was only on the pitch for a few minutes. So, again, if you want to match that, because I don't think you can rate him, but you go ahead.
He was on the pitch for 9 minutes and he had 3 touches of the ball. That is outrageous for a striker when you're pressing up the field.
Hey, that's pinnacle accuracy. That is 1 touch per 3 minutes. That's a great divide. Evens it out. Lovely mathematician there by Daka.
He did have 100% pass accuracy, so there is that. But also,
and you know what? Famous Nardini said, if you haven't got 100% pass accuracy.
and also a stat about Patson Daka, he's still the most foul player in this league, above everybody else.
Wow. He must be doing well. Maybe that's why he's not, every time he gets the ball, he gets fouled.
Yeah.
What are you going to give him, Steve? You know you're not going to match Jordan.
A 4. You can't really, he wasn't really involved in the game, but I feel like it's a bit mean to give him a 0 or a 1 or a 2 or a 3. So after 3 is a 4. I can count.
Brad.
See, that Elmo thing wasn't a waste of things. Your Sesame Street knowledge came in. I loved it.
Are you going to score him, Brad?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to be nicer. I'm going to give him a 5. He came on. 8. I just want to be difficult, all right? Tackled the most. 100% pass accuracy.
You didn't know that till Steve told you.
they call him Dakadini. So I'm just saying. So by Dakadini, you could interpret that as Harry Houdini.
Yeah, at the start, when I said there was 2 experts on the show, but I couldn't get them on, so I got you 2. Well, can I just say, before we get on to the manager, the number of times that you have agreed with Jordan out of 11, 12, 13, 14, 16 players, Brad, you've agreed 8 times, 50%.
Is mine like 11?
No, yours is 9.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. But I'm gonna start doing that every week now, just seeing football friends. Right, let's go on to Steve, the manager. I'm hearing a little bit of discontent on the old social media.
Yeah, I don't think you're hearing that from the match going fans though. That's I think everyone. I know there was a chant on Friday about Marty sorting it out, which I started. To be fair, that was on me. That was me. Yeah, but overall, I think a 6 is fair. Like he makes changes when he needs to make changes. You can see things were going a certain way. I do think overall I would have taken. Sorry, Brad, but I would have taken Samari off and kept JJ on because of that energy in the midfield. But overall, we didn't really put a foot wrong, and we rescued a draw at the end. So his substitutions worked to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these ratings naturally will all depend on the final result. And I think if we'd been looking at a 1-0 loss, it would have been a lot different. Brad, your thought? I mean, at the end of the day, he does make substitutions. He just doesn't go like for like. Just swap things around. There is definitely a plan B in there. I think he's just got to sort the striking thing out, which he's done as best as he can at the moment. When Daka's one of your options, there's not a lot you can do. You have to stick with AU and wait for Carranza to bed into English football.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are out of his control. I think he'd rather, give Marty what he's got in front of him now, i.e. the signings early doors. I think we would be doing better in the league overall because we'd be more settled. He can't help what they do on the pitch. And that goal is not a tactical thing. It's not a formation. That's just the players. They're at fault for the goal being conceded. Everything else was pretty much standard, solid work by the manager, made the substitutions, tried his best to do everything. Still feel, and maybe we are seeing a little bit, that first 20 minutes needs to be a bit more bright and a bit more clinical. Because Patson Daka would have scored that. See, I didn't say that name. I said Patson Daka would have scored it.
He wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't, because we saw West Brom. We saw what he did when he put the West Brom shirt on. But no, I'm going to give him a 6. And I agree with Steve. I think it's COVID fan base that came along with the European ride that get on a manager. But I mean, kudos to you, Steve, on starting a chant. I mean, it might not be the best one start, but at least you got one started.
I started quite a few, to be fair, because I'm quite loud.
Really? Who knew?
That explains why I opened my window and heard, Brad, what a wanker, what a wanker.
Yeah, he was shouting at you earlier. You two have agreed 11 times, including the manager. So,
that's why.
Yeah.
I've always said that Steve knows what he's talking about when he's ready.
Right. Team rating. Steve,
6.
what do you give the overall team?
6. I think it was a bit lackluster overall. There is significant improvement to be made in certain areas of the pitch.
Brad?
Yeah, 6 as well. There was a lot of individual and a bit of congestion and a little bit of not reading passes that were being made or preemptions. It was a 6. Needs improvement.
Yeah. I also agreed with you there, Alan, at the match. He gave him a 6 as well. And again, I got absolutely blasted for this because my actual rating was a 5.
You would say 5, 6s.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, if it was a point, you'd say 5 points. 5.5. I think you're fine with that 5.
If we did halves, but
which, by the way, guys, if you join for the preview show, I allow halves. Admittedly, it's on the quiz, and Chris knows why.
Only because you totally and utterly cock it up, and that's the question.
No, we're not having that.
And finally, I think we all know who your man of the matches were. Both of you went for Winks, and I have to say, so did Alan. Man of the match, and in a way, I can't argue with that. To be honest, but there we go. I chose somebody different, but then again, it's my channel, so I can do what I want. A last look at the table, which is very, very difficult because it's very, very small. I need to sort of try and sort this out with the table, but the EFL Facebook page lets me down terribly.
Why don't you just go on the BBC and crop where we are? It's not like we're Sheffield
because we
United.
look at the whole table, Brad.
Yeah, but we don't need to know. We're not Sheffield United fans. We don't care.
If I just do the top 5, we're bottom.
Yeah, but that's all right. It's a mini league. We're all right
then. But we are 5th. Again, the way I look at this, to me, and I think I said this earlier, I'm happy with 5th at this stage. Yes, I know you were saying about the points deduction, and that would really shit us up. But we could have been on 2 points. We still had Cooper, we've got Cooper or Ruud van Nistelrooy. So for me, Steve, I'm happy with 5th.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think you could be happy with 5th place. I think also, looking at the table here, because I don't tend to look at the table until around about Christmas time anyway.
Second place Stoke are only a point better off than us, so
yeah, exactly. And also we've only lost 1 game, so overall it's been an okay performance. I keep seeing Ipswich now climbing the table. They're going to start being up there as well. So I just want to get as many points as possible. That's all.
But do you not think we will improve, Brad?
I think we will. I think it's going to be like I said, we've been behind the 8 ball with Cifuentes from the very start, Chris. His appointment, the timing of it, the length of time he's had to prep, the players didn't come into the last day of the window. I'm still never going to forget that transfer deadline show when I said there'll be a couple, we'll announce them later. We did. But my point is, Chris, we're behind the 8 ball, and like you just said, Chris, Ipswich, they're not ahead of us. You've just said they're catching us up. Southampton are down there catching us up. Sheffield United until the weekend. Thanks for that point there, Sheffield United in the Predictions League. Catching us up. We can't worry about points deduction because it's either going to happen or it's not, and that's out of our hands. Right now, where we are, I'm happy with.
Yeah. Me as well. Guys, thank you very much. If anybody has gone, fancies nipping to the betting shop, I should say, sorry. Steve is going to the game tomorrow, so I'd put a bet on a late goal.
Right.
No. We win at home. We win at home. I've seen some wins at home. It's just I think I've gone to 12 or 13 away games since the Southampton game, and we've not won any of them. So
most of those, in fairness, were under Rude, weren't they?
Let me just know. £5, Leicester Swansea, goal in 88th plus minute.
Well, if we're playing Swansea tomorrow night, we've turned up at the wrong ground.
No, because that's our next away game, isn't it? It is Swansea, isn't it? Safe
it is, yeah. It's a
All
4.5 hour drive down there.
Cool. That is cool, isn't it? It would have worked out better had we, after Wrexham, if we're going to stay there, aren't we? So,
yeah, we could have put up in a hotel or something. Guys, thank you very, very much. Everybody, like, subscribe, share. Like I said, if you've been listening on your favourite podcast, thank you very much. And thank you to everybody in the chat. Wednesday at 9. How does that suit everybody for the next review of the Wrexham game?
Yeah, that works for me.
Yeah. That work for you, Brad?
I should be okay. I'll let you know. I should be fine. I think no, I might not be actually. No, I might not be available.
Oh. Well, if you're not, it's just you and me, Steve. We'll have a sensible evening.
No, Jordan come and ruin it with his rating.
And not talk about Shimori.
What, you'll be pissed off now if he scores 2 and you have to talk about him.
True, fair point. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good rest of the night. I'll either maybe or maybe not see you on Wednesday. Take care. Cheers.
See ya.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.